Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Roan. If you're a guy that needs an outfit that you can wear to work, you can wear out with your buddies, you can wear on date night, I encourage you to go check out Roan because, well, we are hooking you guys up. We're going to put that link available for you guys down in the comments and in the description of today's video. So coming up here on the Raiders Report, major NFL draft news that could really impact the silver and black. And if you watched the show last week, you might already know what I'm hinting at. The latest on Josh Jacobs. Everyone is freaking out over his Instagram story. I'll tell you what it exactly means. And then Raiders offseason workouts, they begin today. With the NFL draft being next week, if you're looking for more draft coverage around the Raiders, subscribe. If you want to watch our live show on Friday with right tackle Jermaine Illuminor, subscribe. Live shows, draft content, we got you covered. So one of the top stories going on right now around the NFL draft, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise to people that watch this show on Friday because this is everything that I talked about on Friday, where Pelissero confirms that Alabama quarterback Bryce Young has canceled his remaining pre-draft visits, another sign to back up belief within the league that the 2021 Heisman Trophy winner will be the Panthers' pick at number 1 overall. Now, obviously, Young also visited the Texans, who draft number 2, but the top talking point that I discussed on Friday's show was the top Panthers beat writer, Joe Person, which just sounds like the most generic name ever, said that Richardson is in consideration, but Bryce Young is the favorite. And the reason why he said Bryce Young was the favorite is because David Tepper, the Carolina Panthers owner, loves the S2 test. If you don't know what it is, go back and watch my Friday show where Bryce Young scored a 98, which is higher than Joe Burrow, higher than Patrick Mahomes. It's a test that basically shows how well a quarterback or a player is going to be able to react in certain situations. Tepper really likes that and values that. So when you see now another report coming out, I am really starting to believe that guess who's going to be the number 1 overall pick? It's going to be Bryce Young. The latest Texans rumors, who are on the pick or on the board at number 2, their latest reports are that they're still not sold on taking a quarterback. You saw ESPN come out and say that Houston loves Will Anderson. D'Amico Ryans, who was a defensive-minded head coach, and the day he got hired, I sat up on the show with Chugs, and I was like, honestly, if you go defensive-minded coach, I'm not 100% sure if they end up taking a quarterback. Guess what? More and more smoke around the Texans potentially not taking a QB at number 2, which then means, guess what? Arizona Cardinals, they would be the next team up at 3. And these guys have essentially just put out a for sale sign on their Arizona turf out there in Glendale. It said, hey, if anybody wants it, you got it. You know, some other things that indicate to me that they're going to go in a rebuild and that they are 100% willing to trade back from 3. If you're telling me DeAndre Hopkins and Budda Baker are on the block, that tells me that rebuild. Trying to sell, you can buy low. If Kyler Murray is also likely out for the first half of the 2023 season, that's on me. But that is a lot of indicators that the Cardinals are more than likely going to try to trade back at 3 overall. So what does that scream out to me? That means if the Raiders want to go get CJ Stroud, they can do it. If Houston doesn't take him, I don't think the Arizona Cardinals obviously are going to take him. So if the Raiders tried to trade up to number 1, and the source that I have talked to on a weekly basis, I would put at this point, I got to go back and put on the show the first time I said, source told me Ziegler loves CJ Stroud. You saw the reports come out that apparently the Raiders have their eyes on 1 to 2 quarterbacks. If he's there at number 3, man, I really, truly believe they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to call. Doesn't mean that a deal's going to get done, but they are absolutely going to call and say, hey, Arizona, what is it going to take for us to get Stroud? Now, does that mean he is a locked-in low to the Raider? No, of course not. But there is going to be some interest there. You know that CJ Stroud on the offseason said that he wouldn't mind throwing to Chad Ochocinco's favorite route runner, which turns out to be Davante Adams. Davante Adams likes that tweet. One of the things that we have talked about time and time again is, did Davante actually want Jimmy Garoppolo? Davante has already signed off on the idea of getting Stroud. So if you're the Raiders and you're playing the long game, you're like, all right, well, we're going to have Jimmy Garoppolo for year one, and then we're going to let CJ Stroud learn behind Jimmy G. Is that something that Devontae, is that something that this Raiders organization would sign off on? I definitely think it's an intriguing thing. There's no doubt about that. So be honest with me. We're going to make this the pinned comment on today's show. Stroud, he's on the board at number 3. Should Josh McDaniels, should Dave Ziegler pick up the phone and make the deal happen? Give me a yes or give me a no. My answer coming up right now. My answer is this. I love CJ Stroud. He is my number 1 quarterback in this year's class for the Raiders. However, I would rather the Raiders build their defense, because if you don't have a defense, I'm just kind of getting sick and tired of even talking about how bad this defense has been. But if you're willing to go all in on a quarterback, Drake May and Caleb Williams to me are just 2 far better, more superior players. And honestly, if you're the Raiders, you could still figure out a way to make it work to get one of those 2 guys. And there's even other more talented quarterbacks. However, it would not shock me even in the slightest if the Raiders do try to trade up, because they know if they trade up for a CJ Stroud, they try to trade up for a quarterback early on in this year's class, guess what? That means that McDaniels and Ziegler are locked and loaded into 2024. Especially if they don't play him in 2023, their jobs are 100% secure for the 2024 season, when then they would hand the keys over to that young rookie, or technically the sophomore. Coming up next here on the show, the latest Josh Jacobs news that just has Instagram, Twitter, everyone going B-A-N-A-N-A-S. I think I spelled it correct. But before I show you that, Raiders Report is presented by Roan, and this has been a sponsor that I've had around here on the show for a long time. I'm a big believer if you look good, you're going to feel good. And when I wear something with Roan, I always feel pretty good. I will also say this. Their pants might be the most comfortable pants out there. And if you're a guy like me who's got, I'll be honest with you, I got a big booty. And these pants, they fit me really well. They're not too tight around my calves either. And if you want to get your hands on them, go to roan.com/chatsports for 20% off. If you're looking for a comfortable golf tee, some of my buddies who like to play golf, I always get invited, but I tell them, I'm going to shoot a 180, so you don't want me. Great golf shirts as well. Super flexible. The commuter shirt is the one that I personally recommend, and the commuter collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Head to roan.com/chatsports and use promo code chatsports to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/chatsports and use code chatsports. It's time to find your corner office. So to me, when you're wearing shirts, I want to know that I can also have versatility, and it's simple. If I got to iron a t-shirt, if Alex is like, babe, let's go, we're going to be late, and I pull out a shirt and there's a wrinkle or 2 on there, the last thing I'm doing, I can guarantee you this, is getting out the ironing board. Best part about these shirts, throw in the machine, they're washable, you don't got to use the dry cleaner, and they come out, and then they're good. No wrinkles. That's simplicity, and it makes you look good. Roan.com/chatsports. Now, let's talk about the rumors going on right now around Josh Jacobs. He posted this on social media, and to be just quite frank, honest with you, just breathe. I understand that everyone is freaking out over Jacobs, who led the NFL last season with over 2,000 total yards, posted, respect goes both ways, would hate to see it. If you have followed Jacobs, you'll know that he's been posting quotes from comic books. He's been posting a lot of stuff, and I'm a big believer. Hey, y'all know, if there's a rumor out there, I'm all over it, right? I have been told by a very good source that this has absolutely, positively nothing to do with football. Is it weird timing? Of course it's weird timing. The Raiders report for their off-season workouts. Jacobs isn't there because he hasn't signed his franchise tag tender. He wants an extension. He's been pretty vocal on social media about some of the moves that the Raiders have done that he has and has not liked. I'll say this. Josh McDaniels, I know, Mitch, Josh McDaniels said Darren Waller was going to be a big part of the offense, and then he gets traded. I know for a fact Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler love Josh Jacobs. They want him in the team. They want him in the locker room. But they also know deep down that if they don't find a quarterback, they're going to be effed. They're going to be effed. You know what's the best friend for a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo? Best friend for a rookie quarterback? His name's Josh frickin' Jacobs. And then if they build an offensive line around him, God forbid if they get a defense, look the hell out. But this team wants Jacobs. Why? Because he's that frickin' good. So my question to you is this. Will they get an extension done this offseason? Jacobs said that he'd be more than okay to play underneath the franchise tag if the Raiders loaded up around him. I don't know if Jacobs feels that they have loaded up around him, or they're like, you know what, man, you're just going to play on the tag because you go back and you look at past regimes that McDaniels and Ziegler have run. They have never paid the running back. So type E for extend or type W for don't. Will the Raiders extend Josh Jacobs this offseason? For me, I am going to say that they will. It will not get done before the 2023 NFL Draft, but when you look at the Raiders and you look at how much money they have overall, like with the 12 picks that they have, if they take all 12 players, obviously they could trade away a few things. You're looking at an extra, I think it's like $12, $13, $14 million that they have to pay those rookies. Right now, the Raiders have $2 million in salary cap, so they're going to have to get creative. They're going to have to work out a few things, and I actually think if the Raiders extend Jacobs, they will lower his cap hit. So for me, my extension projection that I have here for Jacobs is laid out like this. They give him a 3-year, $38.4, year 1 and year 2, so $8 million and $15.2, fully guaranteed. 2025 would be the year that would not get guaranteed. I also went with this structure because this is the amount percentage that they also gave a guy like Jacoby Myers. But a lot of the Raiders contracts, a lot of the people that I talked to told me that they basically have until 2024. So if you're the Raiders and you know that, you're probably okay taking a bit of a salary cap hit in 2024, but the salary cap's going to go up anyway, and you're not going to have all that dead money. So for the Raiders, I would anticipate a deal with Jacobs looking something like this. And if it's more, if it's less, obviously we'll break it down no matter what. But I do know 25 years old, Jacobs still has a lot of good years left on him. At least that's what I believe. So if y'all don't know, Chugs and I this weekend, we went to a Raiders event. And man, it was such a good time. And if you ended up seeing Chugs or I know we took a lot of pictures. Please tag me on Twitter, on Instagram, tag Chugs as well. I want to be able to put some pictures on there. And I met so many cool people, but two people that I was really happy I finally had the opportunity to meet. First off, Mama Crosby. She was an absolute sweetheart. She was so down to earth. Honestly, she was so down to earth. She played the punching game with Jeremy Chugs, and that's a whole nother story. And I put the video out on Twitter, but I walk outside to meet her, and I try to meet her husband as well, and they recognized us. They recognized Jeremy and I. They said, man, we watch your show all the time. So it's a Mama Crosby and a Mr. Crosby. Anytime that y'all want to come on the Raiders Report, it is an open invitation. I thought it was super cool that they come and hang out with us. We talked about the Raiders. We talked about Max. I was talking about the new regime and a lot of good stuff coming out of both of their mouths. But I'm telling you right now, anytime you both want to drive down here to Dallas, I know you're not too far, and you want to come on the Raiders Report, is an open invitation. I know the nation would love to see you. Before I wrap up today's show, Raiders offseason workouts is the top trending topic here for the Silver and Black in terms of news. What you're going to see basically over the next 2 weeks is going to be meetings with strength and conditioning, physical rehabilitation. It's not going to be anything too crazy, but there is going to be a lot of conversation about it, and it's mainly going to be Josh Jacobs ain't here, and they're going to be looking at a lot of new faces. In terms of the faces that we saw today that the Raiders Twitter account posted, you got Hunter Renfrow repping the Milwaukee Bucks. I thought that was a little bit interesting. Renfrow, it just blows my mind that this guy is the athlete that he is. Jacoby Myers showing up today, looking pretty good. Excited to see what his season has to unfold. Chandler Jones, he said what's up, dealing with a little bit of an injury. And then, I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo had an all-nighter at that bunny house that offered him free sex for life. But it kind of looks like, I'm not going to lie to you. Jimmy, hopefully you're enjoying Las Vegas, but most importantly, hopefully you're getting into shape for a hell of a season here, because even though I can't stand McDaniels or Ziegler, I'm definitely hoping that I'm wrong and saying that the Raiders end up winning some games. So if you don't know the rest of the Raiders week for the Raiders Report, Jugs and I are going to be live tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. On Thursday, 420, all I'm going to say is Jugs and I got to eat 500 grams. That's all I'm going to say. And then on Friday, live with Jermaine Illuminor, the Raiders right tackle. A lot of live shows. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you got those noties turned on. I'll see y'all tomorrow when we go live.